Hey, good evening, all. I'm your host, Pramod Pagar. Welcome to session on collaboration and convergence as a model to larger impact. Today we have 3 million guests. Let me introduce our first guest, Aarti Mahadevan. Aarti is founder of Governance Count, an initiative that helps strengthen the board of NGOs. She is also an alumni of TIS Mumbai and Niemans Bangalore. Aarti is passionate about volunteering. She runs Whiteboard and I Volunteer initiative that brings senior corporate professionals together as a group to provide strategic guidelines completely pro bono to NGOs. She volunteers herself with the Dan Utsav, India's largest giving festival. Now, I will request Aarti to take the session from here. Aarti, over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And hi, everybody. I hope everybody is safe and well where you are. I'm very delighted to be part of this session. I've got two Maharathis and wonderful people on the panel. I'm going to quickly introduce both of them and then we will get started. So we've got Sheena. Sheena is communication specialist with more than 14 years of experience. She's been the brain behind the brand building of many blue chip companies in all over the country. She's also had a very rich experience in the not-for-profit sector. She has transitioned into the social sector about 2 years ago and is an advocate for partnerships. She is the co-founder of Sahyog Foundation, which is probably the country's first an entity that is looking at facilitating partnerships, collaborations, and convergence. So, welcome, Sheena. Delighted to have you on board. Our second panelist is Pankaj. Pankaj Ballab is part of the CSR team for the Bajaj Group, and he handles. Yeah, Pankaj handles more than 280 crores. So that's a number I couldn't get my head around. I didn't know I don't know how many zeros there were, but I looked at that and nearly fell off my chair. So, but it's amazing. I mean, that's the kind of budgets that he handles as part of the CSR. This year alone, 9 companies of the group will support COVID relief through this budget. Before being part of the Bajaj Group, Pankaj has been part of BP, Shell, and BG. He also has more than 10 years of very grassroots experience himself. So welcome, and we will get started. Thank you so much for being part of this panel. My first question is to Sheena, ladies first. So Sheena, if you can start off by telling us a little bit about Sahyog Foundation, but more importantly, the thought process behind setting up of the foundation. I mean, why did you think about such an organization? What were the levers that got you to think of setting up an organization like this?
Thanks, Aarti. I think I will just start from just a macro perspective. In this country, we have about 3.17 million registered nonprofits today. And our population, as we all know, is about a 1.3 billion population. That makes it about one NGO to about 400 people.
Okay, sorry, Sheena, we're going to have to come back to you. We're not able to hear you at all. I'm going to move to Pankaj, and I've been dying to ask this question, ever since ever since I knew you were going to be on the panel.
I got a large cup, so I'm ready.
Yeah, I can see that. I hope, and I'm glad this is happening online, because if I was in front of you, I'd be afraid of getting hit. But but my question, Pankaj, to you is. So the nature of companies is to actually compete with one another. I mean, that is what the nature of the corporate sector is, and that's a good thing, because that leads to the creation of hopefully better products and services. So how do you see companies coming together in order to collaborate for social good? I mean, is that something that's realistic, or do you feel that हर एक company को अपने तरीके से करना चाहिए?
So my first job in development sector was this large project called Geo NGO Collaboration, where we got together some 40 NGOs in Udaipur, and this was in like early 90s, 90. And again, I would have had the same impression of corporates as you are saying that they are massively competitive, cutthroat. It's, I think, a very carefully cultured image of the corporate sector that they are competitive. They actually are anything but competitive. And I think it's important to kind of look at examples and kind of see development sector and the NGO sector, development and the corporate sector side by side. Things like policy advocacy. Every corporate is a part of at least 2 or 3 chambers of some sort, Chamber of Commerce and Industry or whatever else, PhD, CCI, CCI, CII, Maratha Chamber of in Pune. These are formal structured entities with proper programs for getting people in, elections, membership, presidentship, chairmanship. You know 2 years in advance who is going to be a chair. And they are very, very, very active at advocacy. And also about enabling. So if you are landing up in US, there will be a chambers that you are connected to that will facilitate everything that you need. NGO sector splutters. I mean, there was a Vani at some point in time, there was somebody else. And these were initiatives of individuals. These were not collectives. So even Sheena is talking about it as an initiative of a group of individuals. It is not that 4 million, I think, is a random number. Let's not talk about 4 million. Maybe it is 1, maybe it is 50,000. Actually,
it doesn't matter.
All political parties and everybody with a shoe shop is also called an NGO right now in country. If registered as a particular act, that's an NGO. That's not correct. But I'm saying it's not these people coming together as a group saying that we need to advocate for a certain policy environment or certain enabling factors to be created, which corporates have been doing now for more than 30, 40 years. The second thing which corporates do brilliantly is actually work together so that both of them benefit in a mutual way. You go to Chroma to buy a laptop, there will be an independent finance company ready to offer you a loan at the Chroma ka, and it's not Tata Wallo ka finance company. You might go to a Chroma and actually get a Bajaj finance guy standing there to offer you a loan. So thing is, both of them are going to benefit. It allows you to pick up a larger, I mean, you get bankrupted at the end, but that is what the intent is. But corporates working together in completely dissimilar things but providing you an end-to-end service is something which is very, very routine. NGO sector does not do that. Nobody says, I will do the community organization and you can come in with your cows, and then somebody says, listen, we know how to handle milk and therefore we will handle the milk processing part of it, or we will handle the marketing part of it. Everybody wants to do. So, in fact, when I look at a proposal, you almost always see a proposal as a package. I might know that the best training organization is a Sparsh or an Ummeed, but we will not have the option of cherry picking 10 best organizations and saying this is how we can deliver the best learning disability program to kids of Maharashtra. You either have an organization or you don't have that organization.
Right.
So one of the kind of something I'm very proud of is this project we did in Rajasthan, in Sirohi, on goat breed improvement. And from my time in the field, it's kind of a given that number of goats go up, number of girls in school goes down. Because the standard, because cows you can tie at home, goats need to go to the mountain to graze. And so girls will take them. So there is almost kind of that, right now with the kind of COVID graphs we are seeing, there are almost those kind of graphs that the goat population goes up and the girls kind of goes down. We are working with Pradhan for doing the goat breed improvement program. We are working with Dusra Dashak, exactly the same geography, same community, they need to go together to the field for ensuring that girls stay on, and in fact more girls are pulled out of goat rearing and taken into the schools. But that's not an intuitive behavior for the development sector. We don't normally work like that. Nobody does that. Nobody says that you have got specialists and people who can sense the groundwater, but my community relationship is unmatched. Let's work together. That doesn't happen. Very, very rare to see that. And the third thing, again, which corporates have been doing since, I think, Henry Ford's time, is this concept of vendor. And I can't find a more polite word, but specialist service providers.
Right.
So everything, and when I say normally say we for NGO sector, because that's what I believe I still am, we always want to do everything in-house. Impact assessment karna, hum khud karenge. Participatory appraisal karna, we are going to do it ourselves. Reports generate karne, we will do it. IT, we will have our own. One poor little boy sitting there trying to pull up the laptop. Just get somebody professional to set up the IT network for you. And within the NGO sector. So we have got, as a corporate, I might actually ask an NGO to come and perform a quote-unquote vendor role, that you do a training program for these 5 partners. But that's not an intuitive way the sector comes together to look at how we can work together. And last 3 years, we have been actually having conversations with a whole lot of our partners. That I think the part of Sheena's earlier part, which I kind of forgot, was I think it is suboptimal for people. The numbers are suboptimal, and if within those numbers, people doing everything themselves is highly suboptimal. So Bajaj doesn't make a motorcycle battery. We probably will not know how to make a battery. Excite knows it, and we will all let them make. So everybody, whether you're buying a Hero Honda or you're buying a latest BMW, you get an Excite battery inside it. You might get a fancier one, you might get a smaller one, but nobody is bothering about that. NGO sector, everybody will say, "Nahi, palthi maar ke zameen pe baithte hain, let's invent a battery, and we will do the best battery in the world, but we will do it from the scratch." But I think there is somebody written, sorry, but it is not supporting. So I don't know whether it is in my context or something else, but yeah. But I think there are these 3 large kind of examples of corporates collaborating, which are kind of obvious, which most of us have thought about at some point in time, but rarely get to see in practice. So policy advocacy, kind of temporal kind of linking our work together to maximize the benefit to the end consumer, end beneficiary, and the specialist input provider / vendor, whichever term we want to use. There are 3 models that are, I was working in oil and gas, entire world oil and gas, there are only 1 or 2 agencies that actually are specialists in cutting down wells that go into fire. So even ONGC, they will still call that Red Adler and his team to close that blowout well. ONGC has no idea how to shut down that well. Neither does BP, nor does Shell. You will always end up going to these 3 or 4 super specialists, and they are company agnostic. They will provide the same high quality service. Everybody contributes money to ensuring that they remain viable. They are stationed all across the world, and they will come at your call whenever you call them. But that kind of collaborative support network, enabling network creation should have been, and we expect the people to do it. We expect the community to do it. That's the most ironic part. गांव में जाते हैं, आप अपनी जमीन छोड़िए ताकि उनको पानी का फायदा हो सकना चाहिए. So we all are expecting the community to kind of let go of their egos, let go of their resources, let go of entitlements to productive assets for the larger welfare. Engineers don't do it.
Okay, so you have provoked the activist in me, okay?
Yes, ma'am. That was the intent.
I can see that, and I'm like raring to go. So not to sort of disagree with what you're saying. I think you've made some very, very valid points, and I agree with them. The only reaction that I have to what you just said was that when corporates collaborate, it is always to promote self-interest, right? And I don't mean that in a judgmental way at all. So if they're coming together as the CII, whatever. Right?
Bottom line, shareholder value. There is no.
That's it. Yeah. Let me finish.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Now I want to ask the entire 3-4 questions together, so I can get you to respond to all of them, right? But I think when they come together, it is so that we will all benefit individually, personally, shareholder, so on and so forth, right? There is no space for I don't mean ego in a bad way, but there is no space for individual opinions, views, nothing. So to your point, saying that what matters is the bottom line, इसमें मिलके हमको फायदा होता है कि नहीं? That's it, right? Now to expect similar behavior where the outcome will be social good and not individual organizational benefit, and therefore to draw a parallel, maybe a slight stretch is what I'm thinking. So expecting non-profits or social enterprises to come together so that the benefit is not going to be individual or personal, but larger social good, we need to figure out how to make that happen, right? Whether it will happen automatically, naturally or not is another question altogether.
I have an interesting take on it. So just, So, okay. The thing is now, it's a good time we are talking about it, because what happened to Sushant Singh Rajput and the entire explosion of this nepotism thing in Bollywood, The reality is development sector is equally, English is bad, nepotist or whatever is the appropriate word.
Correct.
Right. And the thing is, for a corporate, the end point is clearly established. It's the shareholder value that you are generating, both in short term and the long run. I mean, companies like Tesla and Amazon are able to survive long periods of losses because they are able to show a rosy picture in the long run. NGO sector actually has an equally obvious way for identifying who their shareholder is. And interestingly, the shareholder is the donor. And that is where all the problems get created, because while they are supposed to be producing this product for the poor farmer, etc., the person who is actually buying their share by contributing and getting that ATG receipt in return is a donor. It's either an industrialist, or it's a government, or it's an
individual, yeah, whoever.
Can be anybody, right? NGOs, I think, have lost the ability to convince people that this is the end value that we are generating, and this collaboration results in a higher end value. That marketing doesn't happen. I mean, most people get money because of, in very, very large number of cases, you get money because of your access and your proximity. And therefore, that product assessment, that I think the only good thing about the corporate world, and that too in a reasonable kind of sense, is the fact that you and I, by deciding to buy that Xiaomi phone or a Moto G or a Motorola or a Micromax, are able to influence the behavior. The beneficiary in our case, and I'm using the word beneficiary with a great deal of caution because that includes passivity and recipient wala thing. So all those apologies for using that kind of a term. The reality is, in majority of the cases, there is no agency on the part of the beneficiary. The person actually is a person passively receiving a benefit. It's a highly unequal relationship. So I think the way the sector has evolved, and India, fortunately, unfortunately, is home to the largest and probably the best homegrown development sector in the world.
Correct.
And that critical analysis of who we are and how we engage with the two ends of the our annual report ka budget sheet, ki grant received from and grant spent on. Beech mein to hum baithe hain, we know what is happening to us, but those top and bottom, how are they convinced that they are connected and this is the most efficient way of connecting the two? I think, but in a perfect world, the self-interest drive will also mean that NGOs collaborate and work together, because the shareholder benefit, be it the donor or be it the person for who's the reason why you exist in the first place, they will all be the same.
Right. So I think that's a good point made. I don't agree entirely, but I don't want to digress.
Even I don't agree with myself entirely. That's okay.
I will not.
See, statements are black and white. I mean, if you get into nuanced statements, then we are going to spend 3.5 days and probably is going to kind of eat the sun.
Totally. But it's leading me to an interesting, question based on what you're saying, right? So if you're saying that agency needs to actually rest with the recipient of the service, in this case, let's use the word beneficiary with caution. It is not intended to be insulting at all. It's just a convenient word, and I'm not able to think of another word at this moment.
Samuday. I mean, Rajasthan, we did a lot of debate and ended up with Samuday.
Samuday. Community. Okay. And if we are able to look at them as the recipient of services, how do we give them more agency? I feel that then there will be a greater potential for organizations to collaborate with each other, because then the person receiving a service decides how that service should be given to her or him or to the community at large. But my question there is, because the nonprofit world is dependent to a large extent on funding, on the donor, right? It is equally important, I think, for donors to be educated and to come together. I mean, I wish we could get Sheena back, because one of the things, I know Sahyog is going to be working on, hopefully not in a far too distant future, is how do we educate donors, whether they are companies or individual philanthropists or grant-making organizations, to also collaborate. And to say that I will fund toilets, but you fund water and somebody else funds something else.
Aarti,
That is not happening as much,
No. So I think let's give a very, topical example happening right now. So in Pune, for COVID response, we realized that there are 300, 400 enterprises and vested interest, right? Mera personal interest. If something happens, me and my family also at risk. The corporates have come together to create a platform called Pune Response for COVID, Pune Platform for COVID Response.
Right.
Every single corporate is a part of it. Any request that comes, even if it is kind of given to one person individually, is put on that platform. There's a discussion on it, and just the fact that the companies where I happen to be employed are insanely profitable, and we have a larger kitty to work with, and there are a few other large corporates as well. So we say, okay, we can do the heavy lifting, and these are the large projects that we can kind of sponsor and support. If we want to upgrade 20 rural hospitals, we can kind of pitch in with that because we have those kind of resources. But many people are actually contributing things that we cannot contribute. Somebody had a person in Singapore who actually hunted around for the best PPE available. So while everybody was flapping around like headless chicken, this group managed to get 1,10,000 PPEs and got them distributed while people were still talking about ki PPE hota kya hai. There was somebody standing at the Bombay airport saying, I'll get it custom cleared. There was another person standing there saying, okay, I'll get a vehicle. I'll make sure all the passes are in place. But within 3 days of taking a call, we had 10,000 PPEs available to the doctors in Pune. So I think those kind of platforms, and same thing happened with the food program where we decided and kind of said, okay, these are your areas. You are physically present in that area. This is the organization that you are connected with. You take care of dry rations there. We were supporting a large midday meal program which had a large kitchen attached to it. We said, okay, fine. We will tell the kitchen to start producing adult size meals instead. The capacity becomes 1/3 because बच्चों को आप 150 ग्राम देते हो, बुजुर्ग को आप 500 दे रहे हो. But very quickly, I think on 27th, we started feeding something like 20,000 people. It became 45, 60,000 in the next 10 days. So again, so I think collaboration has happened when there was a self-interest, right? And hospitals pe kya karna hai? So whether how many, because we don't want to make sure, we don't want to kind of have one hospital get 40 ventilators and others kind of without it.
Correct.
So a lot of kind of collaboration is happening at that level. And increasingly now we are talking about other projects as well. So I got a call from one of my colleagues in other companies saying, if we are going to Khed, you have something happening in Khed, can we meet your team and can we start working together?
Lovely.
So I think the trigger point, I mean, yes, we normally do not talk to each other, and the interesting bit is now our bosses do, right? They are part of the same club. They occupy the same spaces. I mean, social capital, agar aap classic way mein jao, meeting how many times you meet, they probably meet very, very, very often.
Right.
There are other relationship of the same background, family kind of linkages. The professionals who have come in from development sector or from other departments or wherever, we have not managed to get our act together. So it's not my bosses' issue at their level.
Correct.
It's an issue at people at my peer level that we somehow don't know how to set up a WhatsApp group that is independent of the company. So, and why limit that to, so it's just a matter of fate, and I keep on telling it to my team and keep on telling it to myself every day that it's just a matter of fate that I am sitting on this side of a table when somebody comes to meet me. I spent 15 years sitting on the other side, and it's very likely if anything happens to the profitability, I'll be sitting on the other side as well. So I think that reality check, but I think it is happening now. It is not as kind of in your face or as public as one would like it to be. I think Pune is, I think, a good example because the bosses came together to create a platform, and now it is allowing the next year to kind of move forward with it.
Correct. No, so that's amazing. I think that, one of the lessons that COVID has taught us is that it is possible to collaborate. It is possible to converge. And, we should, it sounds quite terrible to say this, but I think we should thank COVID for that.
They're not recording it, right?
I hope not. I don't know. No, but I mean it in a good way. I think that,
I think
we need to be...
Every crisis is an opportunity.
Yeah, but I think this has done it more than the others, right? Because it is sort of national and in its in its presence or whatever it is, right? Which brings me to the next question, Pankaj, which is, if you were to identify what is it that has facilitated the collaboration. I mean, let's forget that it is a crisis and so on, and going forward, if we have to sustain this whole collaborative thing, what are the 3 or 4 things that we must be really conscious about as citizens or as individuals who work, irrespective of where you work, right? I'm sure you've identified, is it an empathetic individual? Is it the strength of the idea? Is it a strong process in place? What are the 4 or 5 elements you think that will enable collaborations to happen more easily going forward? COVID kal khatam ho jayega, hopefully. Uske aage, what is it? How can we sustain it?
Only the SARS virus 2, ना उसके बाद पूरा अभी numerical वाला series बाकी है, no, but yeah, I agree. I think see, I think one thing which I think is becoming clearer and clearer, and so I think this has also been this entire CSR. So there is a big problem with CSR, right? It's corporate philanthropy. So suddenly you are expecting corporate business people to start doing philanthropy as a part of their day job.
Right.
So people who were kind of beating down vendors to save 1 rupee on a headlight or a battery now are also trying to beat down NGOs. Then you kind of start realizing that it is not a terrible thing to start looking at development sector as a vendor of development services. Because I can be ethically very, very clear. My end value is the person at the end, the Samudaya member, the beneficiary, XYZ, getting the best value out of the resources we are able to deploy. So there's nothing corporate about the social responsibility. It is pure philanthropy, but it is mandated via a particular act. But I'm saying any philanthropy will have the same lens, right? How do I maximize the value there? And over the last 4 years, we looked at something like 4,000 odd proposals. People have now started seeing differences in the way people talk about development.
Mm-hmm.
So there are certain proposals that have very high quality. I mean, and then you can make it out, right? When you read a written text, even though it is summarized down to 2 pages or 3 pages, and the thought behind the first draft was 60 pages, what I'm taking forward finally is 3.
Mm-hmm.
And still make out whether the organization actually has a good handle on that particular activity they are proposing. And especially true of the established organization, not necessarily
Right.
large, but if you are there in the field for like 5 years or 7 years and more, you know what you are doing and you know how to talk about what you are doing.
Right.
And everybody in the room, there are 30 people in the room, we are all able to appreciate that this part written by this organization actually made sense.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have 3 proposals talking about awareness in 3 completely different ways.
Right.
So I think because of the sheer volume of work we had to do, that learning and coaching that you were talking about has happened by default.
Right.
Lot of our leadership people who were kind of thrust into CSR review responsibility roles have very quickly learned a lot about development sector.
Mm-hmm.
And that logical question is now coming up. Why are they not collaborating? And like
Right.
I can see Ummeed there as one of the people listening to us. They are our partners, and our discussion with them has been, you guys are doing brilliant work in Bombay. I mean, it's absolutely wonderful what you do on learning disability. How does the child who is sitting in Aurangabad or in Latur get access to the knowledge that you have?
Mm-hmm.
And you can't be doing your job as benefiting 2,000 kids in Bombay and saying that is what we will do if there are 2 lakh kids in Maharashtra and maybe like another few kind of zeros added on in India can benefit from what you have. So, and trainings, I hate the idea of trainings because trainings don't work. I mean, but it's hand-holding, it's nurturing, it's mentoring, it's kind of being responsible for delivery, because end result is my concern is the child who desperately needs support because suddenly schools are shut, playgroups are shut, child is locked inside, parents have no idea what to do. How do we ensure that the child doesn't go completely in a different space in this environment? So we're having and my leadership is asking me that if you're saying these people are good, X, Y, and Z are good, how come they are stuck on delivery, not willing to kind of look at different models for delivery, which automatically bring collaboration in? they're asking questions about ki if these people can do this well, how come we are not asking them to do another part in partnership? That Pradhan and Dusra Dashak kind of example, that kind of emerged from a similar kind of a challenge. So I think as the DFIDs and the Aga Khan Foundation and Tata, they had a long time to mature. I mean,
Right.
so 90 when I joined, I mean, these are already very, very mature organizations. CSR, I think that maturity is gradually starting to happen, and that might be one of the drivers for collaboration, that
Right.
maximizing the value wala part. I think the second bit is I think community is also now getting smarter. So agar like watershed program we are funding in Rangabad, it's like insanely large, 250 crores or something, like really, really large program. And the difference is there's 7 different organizations implementing it. 20 years ago, it would all have been siloed out. That IF यहाँ काम कर रहा है, और सेवा मंदिर यहाँ काम कर रहा है, विद्याभवन यहाँ काम कर रहा है, and everybody is kind of happy कि अरे आप आए, दुनिया बदल गई. Now people are comparing. There are WhatsApp group between the farmers where they compare and share कि ट्रेनिंग में आपको क्या बोला, अच्छा गाय कैसी हो रही है वहाँ पे, ये फसल के बारे में क्या बात हुई है. So people are also getting smarter. The questions they are asking our partners are getting tougher and tougher. So I think the agency part that we talked about earlier. So again, these are not the poorest of the poor tribal farmers.
Correct.
These are still
Lower middle.
farmer.
Yeah.
If you're not a political leader, you are a farmer in any case would be more than a middle class in terms of economic kind of assets. But that agency is raising its head and asking very uncomfortable questions to a lot of development sector agencies. Yeah, आप ऐसा क्यों कर रहे हो? इस प्रकार क्यों कर रहे हो? So I think that is another. I love it when people who I fund get challenged by the community things, and that's the way it should be. I mean, that's the only way control gets exercised, because it is for them that the project is happening. So I think that is another. I think that again, it's happening in a certain area because these are adjacent to large industrial areas. Therefore, there are multiple donors. The kind of people. It's maybe still not happening in, say, tribal Rajasthan, South Rajasthan.
Right.
But it will happen because I think the migrants that have gone back will have more kind of ease of asking questions than people who have always stayed back in the village they have. So I think societal change that we are seeing probably will also direct collaboration. So maybe 3 things: the way we are all learning on our job, so questions we are asking ourselves, value for money kind of questions, and the fact that the people's agency now is rearing its head in a good way. I like it.
Yeah. So Pankaj, my next question, and I think I'm going to get a fairly long answer from you on this, but I want that, is I've often found, whether it is corporate or whether it is any kind of donor, right? They look at NGOs as vendors, and I have a huge problem with that, right? कि हम पैसे दे रहे हैं, आप ही काम करके दो kind of thing, right? And I think the idea of collaboration, that you are an equal partner. I mean, we are bringing in the instrument of money, you're bringing in the instrument of change. How do we get that mindset to change? Because no matter what, there may be, of course, exceptions everywhere, where they
there shouldn't be any. I mean, okay, Aarti, my view is there should be no exceptions.
Correct.
The only thing that we need to do, the development sector needs to do now, is realize that a vendor is not a bad term.
Well,
so a vendor, but in our world, in the corporate world, vendor is like भगवान के नीचे is the vendor, because उसके बिना आपका product बनने नहीं वाला है. So NASA, for instance, that Mars rover that went up.
Perception issue. Do you actually believe that donors, corporate or whatever, are looking at people they fund as equal partners? Is that your belief?
Let me give you a corporate vendor example, and then we'll come back to the development sector and what it is.
Right.
So the Mars rover that landed up, Curiosity, which landed up on Mars, it has wheels, right?
Right.
It moves around on wheels. Wheels require grease. And it is 1.5 million miles from the nearest service center.
Right.
So they worked very, very, very intensively with BP. And so one of us, we're all very proud of it because it was Hamari company ka grease which was used to kind of lubricate, which was designed specific, and they didn't make any money out of it. They actually lost crazy amounts of money on it.
Right.
Because NASA paid them for 1 can of grease. the amount of R&D that went into creating a can of grease that will survive that heat and cold and airless wala environment and absolutely foolproof कि अगले 5 साल तक वो bearing jam नहीं होगा. So vendors in corporate sector are your collaborators when you are designing a product. Tesla is Tesla because the Panasonic के साथ उनका जो battery का relationship है. The car is a piece of junk if it doesn't have that battery which can actually take it 300 kilometers.
Right.
So Apple, they might hate Samsung. Their biggest competitor is Samsung. Every single Apple phone has a screen from Samsung. So when Apple fanboys, fangirls talk about how great their Apple ka screen is, yeah, it is wonderful, but it's made by Samsung.
Right.
So things corporate and vendors have a. We are not talking about कि वो किस किराने के दुकान से आप वो चीनी लेकर के आते हो for your canteen commodity trading, but if you are talking about anything apart from commodities, and even in commodities you would still have your preferred vendors because you are given quality assurance कि आपका iron में ये मिला हुआ नहीं होगा, all that things are there. Development sector just needs to do two things. One is just stop reacting to the word vendor. Half the time we use the word vendor because my payment process in the corporate, the only way they can create a bank account ka link is by using the vendor code form.
Right.
So I try changing the Excel file ka heading, they come back and tell me please don't change it because if you change it, SAP doesn't accept it.
Right.
So it's a vendor code. But vendors are good. A. B. How quickly can we move from being a commodity?
Right.
I mean, if every library program that I see is identical with everybody else's, why are we creating this commoditization of language acquisition in early years? I mean, there's a reason why you set up a separate organization. There's a reason why a doorstep school and a room to read and 3 others in Pune have a different. I mean, otherwise, we should all work together because we have the exactly same model. We're buying the same books. We are using it the same way. There are nuance differences. You have thought about it. That's why your program is different from theirs. Convince us that the difference actually has meaning. That if you're dealing with a slum, if you're dealing with this is the model that works. If you're dealing with a conventional school in a routine school situation, you're having a primary up to X, this is the model that works. The minute you start becoming a commodity, mobile healthcare camps, completely commoditized. So, and the minute we start doing that every proposal looks like the other. Maybe people have moved from A to B and they have just kind of pen drive to lagaya and just changed a few words. I've actually received proposals where the previous NGO ka headers and footers were there. And it's worries me that you can submit a proposal for 10 crores and nobody down the line bothered to look at wo gray mein dikh raha tha header footer, yaar, this is not our organization. We don't work for this one. So but the thing is, we ourselves, we in the sense development sector, we ourselves are creating a commodity out of the interventions we do. And we should not be doing that. The minute you kind of are, and there's a reason why so many exist, because there are nuance differences. What a CRY and their partners are doing, say, in rural Ajmer with Jats and with the cattle rearing community. आप 100 किलोमीटर जयपुर के पास आइए, that model does not work. Because the community has changed, the economic basis has changed. You're dealing with a migrant tribal community in Udaipur, and you come a little bit up to Ajmer, the complete landscape has changed. The dependence on the land has altered, so that whatever you are doing there with commons doesn't work. So I think the differentiation that we are not commodity, we are not kirane ke dukaan selling you that Madhur ka chini ka packet, and the only difference is कि मैं आपको 5% discount देता हूँ versus 15%, DMart versus Gokul Fresh Mart right down my alley.
Right.
I mean, that should not be the way I choose NGOs. We should be able to say, listen, these people understand the context they work in. This proposal is not one-to-one comparable with this. So,
right. So, Pankaj, because I'm mindful of time and I do want to take some questions. One last question.
And we have lost Sheena completely.
I know. I mean, I've tried to message her, but it's not even going through. So, but one, last question, and then I do want to add that, I'm associated with Sahyog Foundation. I think I want to take the liberty of explaining what Sahyog does. I think we lost Sheena a little bit, but before that,
and there are a few questions. There's a question as well, so at some point we can. look at
I
that
can't
as well.
see the questions, unfortunately. I
On
mean,
the side, so okay, so Muhammad Afroz has asked, how do you see the limited or almost no diversification of CSR spending, particularly states in North India and Northeastern India get least CSR funds?
okay, so we will take that question, but one last question to you is,
Sure.
see, one of the things we're trying to do in Sahyog is actually support collaborative efforts, right? So we are saying that if there are two organizations that are coming together, then we will facilitate that collaboration and we will support it in a variety of ways. So that's what Sahyog does for the audience who are not able to get through, get to what Sheena was saying. But the question to you, Pankaj, is if there are two lessons that people can learn from the development sector or from non-profits, right? What would they be in your mind? What are the two things that, or two or three things that you think development sector professionals and organizations can teach others? What are the lessons that they can teach?
Okay, so I think might not be very popular because a lot of faces are very, very young and so they might not agree with it. There is no substitute for boots on the ground. This fetish for
Right.
app-based and web-based. I mean, end of the day, you need people on the ground, and the fact that it takes so much longer than you expect to see change on the ground. So
Right.
you have Sheena back. But I think that's one thing that everybody working in philanthropy, whether as a donor or as an assessor or as an enabler, just needs to understand that ये 6 महीने में आपको transformation दिख जाएगा. Within 1 year, all the money will be returned. The incomes will be kind of 3x whatever. This app will actually make a kid pass grade 10. None of that
Right.
works. So I
Right.
think there is, and I think 30 years ago when I started, we were all very mindful of the time it takes and the kind of transition from one phase of development to another. That there is actually an awareness phase, there is an action on an asset phase, and there is market access. So, and for every kind of nature of intervention, it will alter. But there was a phasing involved. Now everybody is looking at a Maggi का पैकेट जिसमें नूडल भी है, मसाला भी है, and if you require उसके अंदर मैंने I might give you a pouch of water also next time. So I think the fact that things happen slowly, they require multiple varied efforts, I think is something that the corporate sector needs. We know it from every corporate knows it for their business. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't launch a superbike in India like a Bajaj. It gradually will have to move the customer up the
Value
CC
chain. Yeah.
chain. कि
Yeah.
आप 500 CC पे आओगे, फिर 700 पे आओगे, फिर 1000 पे आओगे.
Yeah.
ये value chain. Maruti
Yeah,
Classic, I mean
Pankaj.
800 CC, and now you're looking at 1.5 liters. So
Hey, Pankaj, Pramod Pagar here.
Pramod is.
Yeah, I have one question for you. So, do we need any platform to bring all the NGOs together, like in any online platform, or do we already have any type?
I would say no. I worry about when people say we. That hum. So my suggestion would be that there definitely needs to be like the chambers of commerce, those kind of platforms, but it has to be a democratic platform for and by NGOs with a proper process in place, and we can learn from how the corporates have done it with a clear agenda, which can even include socialization. I mean, we need to be friends first and then we can start working together. There's definitely a need for a platform. Problem is when it gets owned by an organization or a set of individuals. So I think if we are able to balance that out, that we're actually, and the thing is, a lot of democratic organizations are guessing it to the political parties as well. They can be democratic as hell, but they're still owned by one or two individuals.
Right.
So that might be an outcome for this platform as well, but at least it has to begin with a kind of a democracy as a starting point.
Right. I've got Sheena back, so I'm going to, before.
I'm so
Yes,
sorry. It's been terrible, but I think I've got glimpses, at least, Pankaj, of all the knowledge that you have and the lovely questions that Aarti has.
No, I
asked you.
exploited your absence by kind of completely going
I can see
Apologies.
that. I can see that. Like,
Sheena, so my question.
But that was great.
Yeah, Sheena. My question to you, is back on, Sahyog itself, and basically, what do you see Sahyog does in the collaborative space?
I think the sector and whether it's CSR, it's funders, non-profits, I think we need to build a voice for partnerships today. And I think, yes, there is a little bit that's happening across all the sectors, but I think it needs to happen as a movement where everyone believes that partnerships needs to lie at the center uh, of their strategy. And that's really when we will be able to make collective action and collective impact happen. Because everyone talks about collaboration, and we've been on enough platforms where this happens. For the nonprofits, I think it's about really supporting their program effectiveness, connecting them with peers, experts, so they can really achieve the common goals that they aim for. And whereas the funding community, they need to really also be informed of their options, as especially as we enter this new normal phase. Um, and funders, and I'm sure that Pankaj would agree, and I'm sure that he's possibly mentioned it. They want to also, at the end of the day, be able to invest in programs that optimize their impact. And Sahyog really sits at the center of it to be able to facilitate and promote that collaborative movement to happen. And I think if we're at I think you had mentioned it in the middle, saying that every crisis is an opportunity, and this is an opportunity for us to really work together in our own space as well as together.
Yeah, thank you, Sheena. So just one more, sort of question to you, and then I'm going to open up the last few minutes to the audience to ask. So, because I'm sort of privy to what Sahyog has done in the past year of its existence. In your mind, what are the 2 things or 3 things that you think will enable collaborations to happen more easily? I mean, we've done a couple of experiments and we've seen that, right? So what are the 1 or 2 levers that you think will enable collaborations to happen in the sector? And even between sectors, right? Both.
Yes, in between sectors. I think, like I mentioned, that finance and fundraising at the moment is a key issue. And I think it's really about NGOs using this opportunity really to work together and to explore how they can sustain their programs in this new normal. So they a lot of them are pivoting, a lot of them are using. I think this is an opportunity that they need to use to sort of move into the next phase of their organizational journey. And I think partnership allows them to do it. A lot of organizations are very single solution oriented. They need to really be able to look at their recipients in a more holistic manner, and partner with organizations that sort of fill in the gaps. For example, an education-based organization may not be able to focus on just their learning outcomes right now because there's just so many things that are affecting those. The economic crisis sort of causes these children to now drop out of school, get into child labor. They would need to support of organizations that sort of specialize in child protection, in child rights. And that's really every organization, I believe, can use this opportunity to sort of boost into either partnerships or for scale models or deepening impact. And that's really where we believe that the next phase should be.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to open it up to questions. If there are any, we've got about 7 minutes, I think, or 6 minutes.
There was one question.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I somehow that screen seems to be frozen.
Okay, so there are 2 questions. Okay, so there are 2 questions. One is about limited CSR spending in Northeast and Northeastern states.
Yeah.
And another question was about thoughts on social exchange, which I tried to type in, saying that if government is promoting, it is not the democratic platform that either maybe
Right.
Sheena or we are talking about. So that's something else altogether.
Pankaj, your thoughts on the North and the Northeast? I mean, any thoughts on that?
So my sense is, again, people should understand the auqat of CSR. I mean, total CSR funds in India are what, 14, 15, 18,000 crores. That is the budget of the Pune municipal corporations. So all the companies in India put together can't meet the needs of the, and municipal corporations normally spend on so-called developmental objectives. एक दो पुल पुलिया छोड़ दीजिए आप, but by and large they're spending on developmental issues. So all the CSR in the country put together, talking about Reliances and Tatas and Bajajes and everybody put together can only meet the needs of people. So CSR is trivial. I mean, anybody who starts kind of worrying about कि CSR का पैसा क्यों नहीं आ रहा बिहार में, you already lost the plot.
Right.
Government is the biggest donor. I mean, and by far the single largest donor or single largest provider of development services is the government.
Right.
And this fetish of CSR funding, we have lost track of that. So getting a PHC ka doctor coming there is way, way, way better than spending a year in doing community mobilization or palak uga karke apne bacche ko khilaiye. So it's I mean, and that has been so that the reason why we were called the NGO sector, because we were not the government, we were outside the government. So and challenging the government, so again, I find CSR some days very, very worrying because आधा पैसा आपका गवर्नमेंट से आता है, so you are co-opted by the government, बाकी कॉर्पोरेट से आ गया तो you get co-opted by the corporate. तो आप इसको चैलेंज किसको करोगे? The reason why all this environmental kind of mayhem is happening in Northeast, who is there? I mean, there are only one or two individuals who are challenging what is happening, not
Right.
Established organizations, because they have all been co-opted. So I think
Right.
it's good if funds don't go into these sensitive areas. It's good if the organizations there go back to the fundamental reason why we established these organizations in the first place, which was about protest, which was about demanding the rights. I think, yeah, I would not be too worried about CSR ka paisa.
Yeah, no, I think that's a very sort of heartening statement to make, because I know that a lot of nonprofits are really concerned about that. But I also think, there is a greater opportunity in that itself, right, for collaborative work, which is if the pie is going to be smaller, then put together the pie can be a whole pie. And if both companies and nonprofits collaborate, not just with each other, but between each other as well, I think that there is a solution that's possible. And, Sheena, last words from you. We have 3 minutes.
I mean, I would really like to just say 2 words, 2 lines. And one is really that the fundamental core of any good partnership is that the ability to bring together diverse resources in ways that can together achieve more, I think create more impact, greater sustainability, and increased value for all. And if I know we tend to fumble, and these are really words, but if organizations really even manage to do 2 of these 4, okay, I think we are on a road to sort of meeting some of those SDG outcomes that we've outlined for ourselves in 2030.
Cool. All right. So, thank you all. I think there are a few questions, but I'm not sure we'll have the time to respond to all of them. I can now see one, which is there a platform which curates the work done by NGOs in the area of labor welfare? I don't know. I don't know if there is one. I don't think there is one. But Pankaj, thank you. Sheena, we had you there very briefly, but I'm sorry,
Sorry about this.
But thank you so very much, Pankaj, for a lovely session and very provocative responses. I'm surely going to take a lot of this offline with you. Rest assured, मेरा टिस्का डिग्री कहीं पे तो काम आना चाहिए.
Many of his colleagues as well. So
yeah, I know. So thank you all very much. I'm going to sort of promote if there are any last words from you then.
Yeah, thanks Pankaj, thanks Sheena, thanks Aarti for joining in and just making it like a discussion like thing over here instead of a question and answer. Thanks Pankaj.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks Pankaj, thank you Aarti, thanks Pramod.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.